So in the last week, we were discussing from chapter 1 of Canto 5, wherein in the beginning, Parikshit Maharaj makes certain inquiries in order to clarify his doubts and also get relieved of astonishment. A person like Sri Sukadeva Goswami, here in our case, Priyavrata Maharaj, who is an Atmarama, generally does not show any interest in the household activities. But still he came home and became king and became attracted to household activities. But similarly, a person who is attached to household activities does not attain perfection immediately, but he attained perfection also immediately. How did it happen? That was the inquiry by our Parikshit Maharaj. For which Srila Sukadeva Goswami says that no, don't see personality like Priyavrata Maharaj. Don't compare him with a ordinary householder. He is already Atmarama. He continued to remain Atmarama. Externally, he apparently appeared to be attached to household activities, but internally is completely situated on the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. So what it happened? Is it because of some offense that he came home? Like that Parikshit Maharaj asked. No, it is not because of offense. It is by Lord's desire. In order to show what should be the conduct of a devotee, why and how one should respect one's elders. It is Lord inspired Priyavrata Maharaj to take up the kingly responsibilities. So that has been indicated in the text number 5. And last time we discussed text number 6 also, wherein basically is the actual story. He was in Gurukul and continuing to service Guru Maharaj, and as a result of that, he attained perfection and was completely meditating upon the Supreme Lord's lotus feet and pastimes, etc. During that time, suddenly his father Manu came and asked, "My dear son, please come home and take up the responsibility of the kingdom." Son told, "No, sir. No, my dear father, I cannot. I cannot do it. So kindly excuse me." So that is what the discussion happening in between Swayambhu Manu and his eldest son, Priyavrata Maharaj. Father is telling, "Please come and take the responsibility of the kingdom." Son said, "No, I cannot." He did not welcome the suggestion, though it could not be refused. Elders' instruction cannot be refused. He considered that it would be unfavorable for him, since he would display lust and anger in himself when ruling the kingdom. So that was the thought process of the king. That's why he said no to his father. Then what happened is what is mentioned in the upcoming verses. So we'll continue with text number 7 onwards today. So please someone read the translation for text number 7. These are verses are in prose. Wherever poetry there will read, prose will not read. Verse number 7 translation.
Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, "The first created being and most powerful demigod in this universe is Lord Brahma, who is always responsible for developing universal affairs. Born directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he dedicates his activities to the welfare of the entire universe, for he knows the purpose of the universal creation." This, sorry,
So
there is further it is there too. This supremely powerful Lord Brahma, accompanied by his associates and the personified Vedas, left his own abode in the highest planetary system and descended to the place of Prince Priyavrata's meditation.
yeah. So when father is requesting the son, "My dear son, please come and take the responsibility of the kingdom." Son says no. So both are trying to bargain with each other, but nothing is happening. No conclusive result is coming up. That is the time Lord Brahma came down to settle the matter between the father and son. So that is what is indicated here in this verse. Then Lord Brahma, who understands the intentions of all living entities, who engaged in meditation on the creation of the universe. It is Lord Brahma's seva was creation. appeared on earth from Satyaloka, surrounded by all his followers. So when Brahma comes, when a great personality comes, he alone does not come. He comes with his entire entourage. Similarly, when Rashtrapati comes, the entire country, the local leaders all follow him. So in that way. So here, now little bit background. I wanted to discuss this part in the last week only, because due to lack of time we did not discuss. Why all these things are happening? Why? What are the need for Swayambhuva Manu to call Priyavrata to come home and take up the responsibility? Is there not there to take up the role? Why? What was the need? Is in the Narada Muni's ashram and continuing his life nicely, and why there is a disturbance? So that is being indicated in the current verse. We will see now in the purport. Then, so when son said no to his father, then Brahma, who is always engaged in contemplating the prosperity of the creation of the universe, because it is Brahma who created the entire universe, in the sense the 14 planetary systems and all the different living entities who are living all over the universe. And it is Brahma's responsibility also to overlook that they are all doing well, they are all faring well. So in that way, the Brahma who is always engaged in contemplating the prosperity of the creation of the universe which he created, that should be prosperous, while determining the intentions of all the living beings, just as the king determines the intentions of all his subjects through his servants, surrounded by Marichi and others, as well as the personified Vedas, appeared on earth from Satyaloka to show proof of the Dharma to be taught to Priyavrata. So, since we also saw in the third canto that when Brahmaji had the darshan of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Brahmaji made a lot of wonderful prayers. So one among the prayers was Kshutrut Tridadubir Imamu Radhimana Shitoshna Vata Varasher Itare Tarecha Kamagnina Achutarusha Sasdurbanena Sampashato Manaurukrama Sidatime. So when I look into the world consisting of 14 planetary systems, and especially in the Bhuloka, people are continuously suffering by three types of miseries: Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika Kleshas. And also they are tormented by lust and anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion. Just looking at them, I feel so much painful. Please deliver them. Brahmaji requesting the Lord to deliver them. So it's like that. So overall, Brahmaji is always concerned about how the living entities in this universe will be going back to Godhead. That is his main motive in his service. So now there is no king. So if there is no king, the living entities in the Bhuloka will be suffered, and the Devatas in the heaven also will suffer, and all the other living entities also will suffer. We saw this many times. Yajna. Yajna is the principle which interconnects everyone. The animals, humans, Devatas, everyone is interconnected through the process of Yajna. If there is no king, there will be no Yajna. And Devatas will suffer, animals will suffer, humans will suffer, everyone will suffer. Though there is a need of king always. We will perform Yajna, we will protect our Varnashram system, we will inspire people to practice Bhakti and facilitate their practice of Bhakti. Everything king does. So in that way. So surrounded by his sons like Marichi and all, and also some of the Devatas and everyone, Lord Brahma descended from Satyaloka to inspire Priyavrata that it is the need of the hour, it is the emergency, so you should become the king. That was the whole intention. So whether it is Swayambhuva Manu or whether it is Lord Brahma, they are coming to request Priyavrata Maharaj. Why? What is the need to request him? Let us see some background. It is said that knowing that Priyavrata, detached since childhood, would leave the house and go to the forest, Swayambhuva Manu appointed Priyavrata's younger brother to rule the kingdom. So basically, Swayambhuva Manu had two sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada. Priyavrata was the eldest son and Uttanapada was young. Even from childhood only, he showed the symptoms of detachment. Both of them gone to Gurukul of Narada Muni. Both of them studied nicely. After their education is over, Priyavrata stayed back in the ashram to continue as a brahmachari student, but Uttanapada came home. So, understanding that it is the temperament of Priyavrata Maharaj to be detached and stay away from all these worldly activities. So, father accepted and he said, okay, no problem, you stay in the ashram. So your brother, younger brother, will become the king. Like that, he made Uttanapada the king. After Uttanapada, the descendants like Dhruva's descendants, Vastara, like that, eventually Anga, Vena, Prutu descendants, Prachina Barhi, then Prachetas. All the way up to Uttanapada descendants up to Prachetas rule the kingdom. In this way, half of Swayambhuva Manvantara passed. So Swayambhuva Manvantara is the first Manvantara of the 14 Manvantaras, which will last for 71 Chaturyugas, of which half of the time period of Swayambhuva Manu period is completed. By the time the Prachetas were ruling. Then the 10 Prachetas married Marisha. They had one son, that was Daksha. Daksha was born second time. First time after joining a goat head, and second time as the son of Prachetas. As the son of Prachetas during Swayambhuva Manvantara. But with a desire to attain his previous powers, he went to perform austerities. This we also discussed in the previous chapter. I think in the 30th chapter also we discussed that the Prachetas, they married to Marisha and eventually they had a son. So when Prachinabari was ruling, Daksha was performing all the sacrifices, and that was the time Sati burnt herself and Virabhadra was produced by Lord Shiva's anger, and Virabhadra cut off the head of Daksha and threw the head into the Yajna. It burned to ashes. By Brahma's request, Lord Shiva added the goat head to Daksha. And the sacrifice was completed and everyone left to their respective homes. But Daksha did not continue to live for a long time because he was like most beautiful and most respected person in the entire universe of the best of Prajapatis. Now he attained goat head. They could not live for long. So immediately, eventually, he was born as the son of 10 Prachetas. So when father Prachinabari was ruling, Daksha Yajna happened. After his rule, when sons were ruling, when they had a son, that was Daksha, born immediately in due course of time. So then the Prachetas having having completed their duties, they requested Daksha to take up the kingdom and they went to the forest to practice Vanaprastha duties. So now Daksha supposed to become the king, but Daksha remembered his past life. He was the direct son of Brahma, Manasaputra. He was not born through any mother's womb and he was Prajapati, and that too best of Prajapatis. And he now is an ordinary king on the Bhuloka. He wanted to regain his previous powers. So in order to perform tapasya, he went to the forest. He is supposed to become the king, but he did not want to become the king and continue as a human ruler. He wanted to become the Prajapati. So he went to the forest to perform austerities. Since there was no king, Swayambhuva Manu, seeing no alternative, wanted to bring Priyavrata back from the forest. So now, since Daksha who was supposed to become the king, he did not want to become the king, and there is no one qualified to rule over the entire Bhumandala. So Priyavrata Maharaj considered who could be the best person to rule over. Then he remembered his eldest son, Priyavrata, would be the suitable candidate, perfect candidate to rule over the Bhumandala. So now kindly understand, when Swayambhuva Manu had this thought, by then half of the Swayambhuva Manvantara period passed. That means that would be the age of Priyavrata Maharaj. Priyavrata Maharaj's age is already now half the Manvantara period. That means around 36 Chaturyugas. That much is the age as of now of Priyavrata Maharaj. So then, when Swayambhuva Manu was not able to bring him back, Lord Brahma came and made Priyavrata rule the kingdom. When Swayambhuva Manu failed to convince him to come home and rule the kingdom, Lord Brahma came and convinced him. So how he will convince will be coming in the upcoming chapter. But whatever it is like overall story. So then Priyavrata descendants ruled until the 5th Manvantara. Since the 3rd, 4th and 5th Manus, Uttama, Tamasa and Raivata were the sons of Priyavrata, with only 2nd Manu Swarajusha intervening. So, who was the son of Agni? The sons and grandsons of these Manus ruled as the kings over the earth as the descendants of Priyavrata's line. So basically, Priyavrata ruled for some time, then his sons will rule, his grandson, great grandson, like that. they will all continue to rule over the remaining second half of the Swayambhu Manvantara. So later on, in the later part of this chapter, we'll come to know that Priyavrata will have 2 wives. One wife children will be ruling over the entire Bhumandala in this Manvantara itself, and other wife children, the other wife will have 3 children, Uttama, Tamasa, Ravata. They are also like powerful people like Priyavrata. They could continue to live for Manvantaras after Manvantaras. So they became Manus for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Manus. And their descendants ruled over during those Manvantara periods. So in one sense, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, dono milke Swayambhu Manu's descendants ruled all the way up to the end of the 5th Manvantara. And then during the 6th Manvantara, that is Chakshusha Manvantara, giving up his austerities, Daksha became the king and engaged in producing population. Daksha Prajapati, who went to forest to perform austerities during the middle of the 1st Manvantara, he performed austerities all the way up to the middle of Chakshusha Manvantara. Then he came out of his austerities and Brahma empowered him to create. It is Brahma then creates all the living entities on behalf of Lord Brahma. Sorry, it is Daksha then creates all the living entities on behalf of Brahma. And what and how Daksha creates is the subject matter of the 6th canto. The entire 6th canto is all about who are all the descendants of Daksha. How did he produce them? Who are their children, grandchildren? The list of names are mentioned in the entire 6th canto. And they will rule over the rest of the 6th Manvantara and also 7th Manvantara. So in one sense, Swayambhuva Manu and his 2 sons, they continue to rule till the end of the 7th Manvantara. This is their lineage. This is their greatness. So like that, it is indicated. So this came in the one second.
Yeah.
This came in the 4th canto, 30th chapter that we discussed that when 10 Prachetas married Marisha, they had 1 son. So what were the activities of that son were mentioned there. Chakshushe tu antare prapte prak sarge kala vidruta ya sadarja praja ishta sa daksho daiva chodita. His previous body has been destroyed. Once by Virabhadra, second by natural death. But he, the same Daksha, who appeared as the son of the 10 Prachetas, inspired by the Supreme Lord, created all the desired living entities during the Chakshusha Manvantara period. So in the Swayambhu Manvantara, he did not become the king, but eventually by the Chakshusha Manvantara time, he performed austerities and he attained all the previous powers from Brahma. And he did more than what he was previously. So it's like that. That is, so what Daksha did, everything will be mentioned in the 6th canto. The entire 5th canto talks about the Priyavrata Maharaja descendants who ruled over the second half of the Swayambhuva Manvantara. So this is like a whole historical picture of the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu and his 2 children. So like that. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have this confusion that like in particular Manu's reign, there are other kings also. So is always, is it that all those kings who are ruling in particular Manu's reigns are his descendants only, or there are some like now we are currently in the Vaivasvat Manvantara, but we saw that in the past, maybe 1,000 years back or 500 years back, there were many kings, right? So those are not in the what we say family lineage of the Vaivasvat Manu. So what is meant by particular Manu's reign? Like where they rule exactly? How we understand that?
There could be hundreds of kings, but the monarch will be a descendant of Manu, a descendant of Manu only. For example, for Vaivasvata Manvantara, the Manu is Vaivasvata Manu, Shraddha Deva, who was the son of sun god. So he had first one son who was supposed to be daughter, but it would be daughter became son and again became daughter and again son like that. That was Sudyumna and Ila. So because when Sudyumna became Ila, Ila married Buddha and gave birth to Pururava. So through Pururava, Chandravansha began. because Buddha was the son of the moon god. Moon god son is Buddha. Buddha plus Ila gave birth to Pururava, and Pururava continued the Chandra Vamsha. In one sense, Ila is coming from Surya Vamsha. He also connected to Surya Vamsha also. But later on, after Sudyumna, Shratadeva also begot 10 sons. The eldest among the 10 is Ikshvaku. So in the Ikshvaku line comes Surya Vamsha. So the entire Vaivashvata Manvantara will be ruled over by Surya Vamshis and Chandra Vamshis. Sometimes the Surya Vamshi will be the monarch, sometimes Chandra Vamshi will be the monarch. It keeps changing here and there, but only they will rule over the entire Bhumandala till the end. Because they will only be the monarchs. There could be many other subsidiary kings, but monarch will always be from this lineage. Same way here also. So either Uttanapada or Priyavrata, his descendants were ruling. Their descendants only would be the monarch. Remaining will be like small kings reporting them. That is okay. That is not a problem.
Okay. And Prabhuji, you mentioned that like Priyavrata, Uttanpada ruled for the half time period of half Manvantara period, and then later on the Priyavrata took up. So, like, but here also it is mentioned that descendants of Priyavratas ruled until the fifth Manvantara. So, as it is mentioned here, just because they are his sons only, that is why it is said that in another Manvantaras also his family lineage only was continued.
Yes. Uttama, Tamasa, Mandraivata, they are the sons of Priyavrata and they continued ruling over third, fourth, and fifth Manvantaras.
Okay.
So in that
And
way,
yeah,
his
sorry.
descendants only ruled. So in that like that.
Yeah, so Manu's reign will be all over Bhumandala, na Prabhuji. It is not only
Yes.
on the earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
They rule over the entire Bhumandala. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other devotees have any question? Okay.
Thank you.
So basically, some kind of history, but there was no one to rule over the entire Bhumandala. It's not a small place. So a suitable and able personality should be needed. So that was Priyavrata. That's why there is a request upon him. Since Chakshusha was in the line from Uttanapada in the Dhruva's lineage, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:13-15, it should be understood that Swayambhuva's descendants reigned until that time. All the way up to Chakshusha and Vaivashvata Manu also, Swayambhu Manu's descendants, either from daughter side or son side, they ruled over. So that is the overall understanding. So, but anyway, they are all additional details. It's not required. So basically, Uttanapada and his descendants ruled for the first half of the Manvantara of the Swayambhu period, and Priyavrata Maharaj and his descendants ruled for the second half of the Manvantara period. But one important point is that by the time Swayambhu Manu came to request Priyavrata, his age was 36 Chaturyugas. That is the most interesting thing. Remaining all are details only. This one you kindly remember. That's all. So then, 8th verse translation. Someone can read.
As Lord Brahma descended on his carrier, the great swan, all the residents of the planets named Siddhalok, Gandharvalok, Sadhyalok, and Charanlok, as well as great sages and demigods, flying in their different airplanes, assembled within the canopy of the sky to receive Lord Brahma and worship him. As he received respect and adoration from the residents of the various planets, Lord Brahma appeared just like the full moon surrounded by illuminating stars. Lord Brahma's great son arrived at the border of Gandhamadan hill and approached Prince Priyavrata, who was sitting there.
Yeah. Brahma's appearance is described here. Like the moon in the sky, Brahma, worshipped on the way by the chiefs of Devatas, riding on fleets of airplanes, and praised by groups of Siddhas, Gandharvas, Sadhyas, Charanas, and sages, approached Gandhamadana hill, lighting it up as he came close. So Narada Muni's ashram was in Gandhamadana Parvat. So that is where our Swayambhu Manu approached Priyavrata, requesting him to come home and take the responsibility of ruling over the kingdom. So when he said no, Lord Brahma came to the Gandhamadana Parvat, where Narada Muni's ashram is there. So this verse describes Lord Brahma's spectacular appearance on earth. Sa refers to Lord Brahma. He was worshipped by the chief devatas who had fleets of airplanes. So accompanied by Brahma, all the devatas, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Vidyadhara, they all came and they were all praising Lord Brahma. Since he is not an ordinary person, they were all praising him. So like that. Then how did he received by Narada Muni and Swayambhu Manu is indicated in the next verse. Ninth translation.
Lord Brahma, the father of Narad Muni, is the supreme person within this universe. As soon as Narada saw the great swan, he could understand that Lord Brahma has arrived. Therefore, he immediately stood up along with Swayambhu Manu and his son Priyavrata, whom Narada was instructing. Then they folded their hands and began to worship Lord Brahma with great respect.
Yeah, they received. Narada Muni, realizing that it was Lord Brahma, his father, by seeing his fan carrier, while Brahma approaching them in the sky only, Narada saw that, okay, his father is coming. He immediately stood up and with folded hands approached him with articles of worship along with Priyavrata Maharaj and Swayambhu Manu. So the three of them got up and went out to receive Lord Brahma. So Narada Muni recognized Brahma by looking at the swan carrier while he's coming close by. Pita Putrabhyam means Manu and Priyavrata. Along with Narada Muni, the Pita Swayambhu Manu and Putrabhyam Putra Priyavrata, both of them also got up and went ahead to receive Lord Brahma. So when great person comes, we should get up and receive them. That is the respect we should show toward them. So it is like that. So then, how did they worship him? How did they receive him? 10th verse. Summary the translation.
My dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyalok to Bhulok, Narad Muni, Prince Priyavrata, and Swayambhu Manu came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language, according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata and looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows.
Now, interesting thing begins. O King Parikshit, after Narada Muni, Swayambhu Manu, and Priyavrata presented offerings of worship, doing just like we worship a respectable person like that. Lord Brahma, whose glorious appearance of affection for the progeny is glorified constantly by the Vedas, looking at Priyavrata with smile and mercy, spoke. Priyavratam Sadaya Hasa Avaloka. So Lord Brahma was looking at Priyavrata, how? With Daya and with Hasa, with compassion as well as with slight smile. So what was the reason for his smile and all will be explained. It should be understood that Narada had been giving instructions to Priyavrata at that time and Manu had come to bring Priyavrata home. So when Narada Muni was giving instructions to Priyavrata Maharaj as usual every day, so Swayambhu Manu came to the ashram requesting him to come home and take the responsibility of the kingdom. In front of his guru, Narada Muni, so Priyavrata Maharaj saying, my dear father, please excuse me, I will not be able to come. So that was the time Lord Brahma descended. So three of them were there only. They got up and received Lord Brahma. So that is indicated. Lord Brahma, who was presented offerings by Narada, Manu and Priyavrata, who was glorious for having descended to show affection to his progeny, described profusely by worship of the Vedas, then spoke to Priyavrata Maharaj. Now, having received their worship, having received their welcome and seated on a high asan, Lord Brahma, looking at Priyavrata with a slight smile and full of compassion, he is going to speak. What he spoke will be starting in the next verse onwards, but with what intention that is mentioned in this verse. Brahma had a merciful glance. See here, Sa Daya Avaloka. The first meaning is Daya Avaloka. Why Brahma had a merciful glance upon Priyavrata? I have interrupted his bhakti. That means by coming here, by requesting him to do as per the request of his father, I am interrupting his bhakti that is performing in the ashram. I have interrupted his bhakti. Jnana and Vairaga. He is practicing bhakti, Jnana and Vairaga. All of them is practicing there. But even in household life, may his bhakti should increase. This is the mercy with which Lord Brahma glancing upon Priyavrata. Since Priyavrata is attached to practice bhakti in the forest, living in the forest as a mendicant, but I am going to stop it. I am going to break that, making him go home. But let him continue the same bhakti, even in his household order. Let his bhakti should increase. So that is the meaning of merciful glance. Then he looked at his grandson with a smile. He also looked at smile with smile. Asa Avaloka. Slight smile was there. So what is the meaning of that slight smile? To refuse kingdom is your stubbornness. So my dear grandson, you are saying that you are telling your father that no, I don't want to be the king. That is your stubbornness. But I will make you rule the kingdom. This is my stubbornness. I will see you stubbornness will prevail. I came here to convince so that you will become the king. And you are telling your father that no, I don't want to. You are giving so many reasons to your father. Let us see whose stubbornness will win. So with that intention, he is actually slightly smiling. So it is like that. So now in the next 9 verses, Lord Brahma speaks very philosophically in order to convince Priyavrata. Any questions till now? Hare Krishna, devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Mataji.
this is it not like means whatever Brahma's thought process has been described in last few lines, like it appears means he is the eldest in their lineage, and he has come to convince him for particular reason, but to say that I will see that whose stubbornness will be, will win or something like that. It appears not very smooth somehow, like that. Ek to means his bhakti and things are at stake, and being a elder also, if somebody is trying
They
to
are not at
convince.
stake. They are not at stake. Brahma himself is thinking, saying that let his bhakti may increase even though he takes up household life. Externally, it appears to be interrupted, but Brahma himself is saying that let his bhakti increase. It's actually very smooth transition only. It's nothing like that. Let us see in the upcoming verses what Brahma speaks. If we understand that, we understand. Or simply instead of saying that okay, he stopped his bhakti, not like that. He did not stop his bhakti. So instead, his bhakti will increase by taking up the responsibilities by the blessings of Lord Brahma.
Okay. Yeah, and also he has to see at a larger interest. Like somebody should be there to rule the kingdom.
See,
Rule the,
remaining in the forest, one may be benefiting oneself, but
yeah,
he becoming king would benefit the entire world. So what is more important? That it's like that.
yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you.
Why would a person take up sannyas in spite of coming out of his comfort zone? And why would a person becomes king? Like personalities like Lord Ram and King Yudhishthir, even Lord Ram at the cost of uh, by boycotting Mother Sita, rejecting Mother Sita because of the rumors of the people, and for the same people, he ruled over without Sita for 11,000 years, 12,000 years. Why? For the greater benefit of the living entities. So it is like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Other devotees, any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. So now let us see what Brahma is going to say in order to convince our Priyavrata. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Nibodatate Dabrutam Bravimi. Sorry, once again. We said like that. Nibodatate Damrutam Bravimi. Masuyitum Devamar Arhasa Prameyam. Vayambhavaste Tata Esha Maharshir. Vahama Sarve Vivasayasya Dishtam.
Lord Brahma, the Supreme Person within this universe, said, My dear Priyavrata, kindly hear attentively what I shall say to you. Do not be jealous of the Supreme Lord, who is beyond our experimental measurements. All of us, including Lord Shiva, your father, and the great sage Maharshi Narada, must carry out the order of the Supreme. We cannot deviate from his order.
So now, say it's like one may say that why there should be an instruction that I should follow elders, I should follow scriptures, I should follow Guru. Let me do now whatever I want. Like that one may think. So, but whether the instruction may be coming from the elder or Guru or scripture or from the Lord, it's all meant for our benefit only. So, to that effect, now Lord Brahma begins to speak. Lord Brahma said, Dear son, please reflect on this. I speak the truth. I am not lying just to convince you. I am actually speaking the truth. Kindly reflect upon this, contemplate upon this, introspect upon this. You should not hate the Lord. Whatever your father is saying and whatever I am going to say, it is all Lord's instruction only. Then don't say that why Lord is not happy with me. I am practicing bhakti seriously in the forest. Why you want to put me in trouble? Does Lord hate me? Something like that. One may think, for which Lord Brahma says that you should not hate the Lord, who is beyond estimation, aprameyam. What he does, why he does, we cannot understand. It is meant for ultimate good for all of us, but immediately we may not understand. So therefore, do not hate him. The reason is, I myself and Lord Shiva and your father Swayambhu Manu and your spiritual master Narada Muni, all of them, all of us, helplessly follow Lord's order only. Whatever we do, it's all according to Lord's order only. We did not concoct our own ideologies and follow. All of us simply follow the orders of the Supreme Lord. So it is also the order of Supreme Lord to request you to become the king. So like that. Do not hate me that I have come here to disturb your practice of bhakti and making you, forcing you to become the king. Kindly do not hate me. Thinking that my words fixed on active life are intolerable to you. I am also dependent on your Lord. By staying in the forest, the personality whom you want to serve, that same person only inspired me to come and tell you this one. I'll speak about what he wants you to do. What I'm speaking is not my own words, but what Lord wants you to do. That is what I'm going to tell you now. So like that, Lord Brahma is telling. Consider this with your intelligence. O son, this implies I am not your enemy who will make you suffer. I am speaking the truth. I am not deceiving you. I speak as Brahma and I am not to be taken as a person without authority like your father. So you may think that, okay, father, my father बोल रहे हैं कुछ, I can reject. Father का reject कर सकते. Should not, but reject कर सकते. If you treat me as your grandfather, the father of your father, you can reject me also. But I am speaking to you as Brahma, the creator and well-wisher of the entire universe. I have a authority, I have a position and power, everything. So at least respect that authority. Though you may not respect me as your grandfather, but respect me for my position as Brahma. So I am speaking truth, he said. So what is the truth? What is the truth you are speaking? I myself, Lord Shiva, and your father Swayambhu Manu, and your Guru Narada Muni, all of us carry out the order of the same Lord whom you are worshipping, whom you want to worship by staying in the forest. Whatever he instructs in the heart of any one of us, we must follow. By his order, I am engaging you in ruling the kingdom. By Lord's order only, your father, or by Lord's inspiration only, your father came to you asking for ruling over the kingdom. You are saying no to him. The same Lord inspired me to come here to ask you to take up the kingdom, rule of the kingdom. So please do it. Do not find fault with your father or with me, even with your Lord, your worshipful Lord, who is trying to disturb your practice of bhakti in the forest, thinking that the Lord whom you worship with all your heart has cast you into the ocean of samsara. So Abhitak, he might be thinking that why my father is doing this, why my grandfather is doing this. Don't see like that. It is the Lord who wants you to become the king. But at the same time, do not find fault with the Lord. Because what Lord does and why he does, we can't understand. Easy man. It's like that. Do not hate him. He quickly delivers one whom he engages in actions in this world, and he does not quickly deliver another who is in the forest. No one knows his activity. So, he who follows the instructions of the Lord anywhere, but Lord takes the full responsibility of delivering him. If somebody on his own trying to do something in the forest, but there is no guarantee that Lord will deliver him. It is important to follow the instructions than to lead a life based on one's own whims and fancies. So like that, to that effect, Lord Brahma is saying. This is actually Lord's order. It is by Lord's inspiration only your father came to request you, and I am coming to request you. But whoever may be, it's Lord's order only. If you do it, Lord will take the responsibility of protecting you and perfecting you and taking you back home back to Godhead. Have faith on the Supreme Lord. Even though apparently it may appear that okay, living in the forest, no attachments, and they can lead a life of detachment and practice peacefully my sadhana. Coming to city means lot of responsibility, lot of anxiety, lot of disturbances, will not be able to practice like that, you may think. But this is since it is Lord's order, Lord will take the full responsibility of you. So like that, Lord Brahma says. This is the first verse spoken by Lord Brahma. Like that, there are total 9 verses. There are so many different philosophical points are also indicated in all these verses.
Hare Krishna,
Then Lord,
Prabhuji.
yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, why Brahmaji is mentioned as Bhagwan here, like Sri Bhagwan Vacha, the word says, no, not Brahma Vacha. Like, because in other places in the Bhagavatam, it is there that Brahma Vacha, Brahma Vacha, but here it is specifically mentioned as Bhagwan Vacha.
What Brahma is saying in the first verse? What did he say in the verse?
That you should not, we are all following the orders of the Lord, and we are also, means we don't exercise our own wills, and you should also do that.
No, not like that. Not all the way. It is simple. I have come here as the representative of the Supreme Lord. What I am saying is not my own intention. It is the Lord's order which I am bringing to you. He has come here as the representative of the Supreme Lord. That's why he is called as Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Okay.
So like that we can think of.
Okay. And another thing is, Prabhuji, not following the order of the Lord, is it taken as same as hating the Lord? Because Brahma says now to Priyavrata that do not hate the Supreme Lord.
Hate means developing. I mean, it's like saying why you are pulling me into household order. So like that. That is kind of hating, we can say. So like when we are not interested, somebody forcing us to do, we develop hatred. We want to stay away from them next time
Oh,
so
so
that we'll
if
not be disturbing
Priyavrata
them.
might develop like that, that is why he's saying.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah, like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Lord Brahma continues. Natasya kashi tapasa vidyaya va na yoga viryena manishaya va naivarta dharmai paratasvato va kritam vihantum tanubro vibhuyat.
One cannot avoid the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by the strength of severe austerities, an exalted Vedic education, or the power of mystic yoga, physical prowess, or intellectual activities. Nor can one use his power of religion, his material opulence, or any other means, either by himself or with the help of others, to defy the orders of the Supreme Lord. That is not possible for any living being, from Brahma down to the ant.
Now Lord Brahmaji further continues. So in the previous verse said that Lord Shiva, myself, Lord Shiva, Narada Muni, and your father Swayambhu Manu, all of us are acting as per the instructions of the Lord. That particular theme is continuing now. One cannot avoid the order of the Lord by one's power of austerity, by one's power of knowledge, or by one's yoga, or by one's independent intelligence, or by one's wealth, by dharma, or by relying on others' strength or one's own strength. Not only these great personalities, everyone, whatever they may be having, such as tapasya, vidya, yoga, virya, manishaya, artha, dharma, all these things might be one may be having. But even with all these things, one cannot avoid the order of the Lord. It is not possible. Mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. Everyone is following the Lord's order. One should not show one's strength of austerity, knowledge, or yoga in order to protect one's stubbornness. One cannot avoid what is decided by the Lord by performing austerity and other actions. But just as the Lord makes me take up the kingdom through you. So now, when our Brahma said like that, no one can avoid the order of the Lord. We should follow. So then Priyavrata says that, okay, just as the Lord makes me take up the kingdom through you, the same Lord makes me renounce through Narada Muni. Which one do I decide? So, same Lord only inspiring Narada Muni, that Narada Muni is telling me to continue as a brahmachari in the ashram, and you are telling me come home and become married, get married and to rule the kingdom. Both are instructions of the Lord. Which one I should take up? By thinking in this way, you desire to conquer me, conquer the Lord by your intelligence. So Brahma is saying that by thinking like that, you may pose a question, having showing your great intellectual abilities. But the answer is you can do both simultaneously. Considering both of these orders of the Lord while ruling the kingdom at the same time, you can practice renunciation by being unattached to those duties. आपको रिनाउंसिएशन फॉलो करने का, वैराग्य फॉलो करने का, नो प्रॉब्लम. कम होम, गेट मैरी, रूल द किंगडम, बीइंग रिनाउंस्ड, remain renounced. So perform all the duties unattached to those duties. Do not try to rule by making someone a substitute representative by giving him sufficient of wealth. I don't think that okay, after coming home, you stay in inner chambers and practicing some vairagya and tell somebody else to rule the can take the responsibilities. Not like that. Don't develop that kind of mentality also. And do not desire to cross these difficulties by many pious acts or taking shelter of um, own or other strength. And don't think that okay, you will become king and after few 2 3 days later you may say that okay, now I am done, I am going back to forest. Not like that. Rule for the sufficient amount of time till you beget children, till they grow youth, till they become qualified to rule all the rules of the kingdom. Till then, you please rule. It's like that. Don't exercise your free will by whatever you know. Maybe knowledge, this, that, not like that. Since it is Lord's order, every one of us should follow. Rule the kingdom as normally everyone would rule, but having complete detachment eternally. Don't be attached to the kingdom and other opulences, but rule with detachment. So that both of your desires, both of things will be fulfilled. Our request and your desire also will be fulfilled. So something like that. So this is like kind of reconciliation Brahma is doing. And Brahma is telling that don't think that okay, you become the king and you tell somebody else to rule on your behalf. No, that is not possible by giving money and all. And same thing that don't show your great abilities that okay, after ruling for a few days, saying that I'm not qualified to rule and I'm going back to forest. Not like that. You have to rule till you beget a son until he becomes qualified to rule after you. So like that, Brahmaji is saying.
Prabhuji, here the do not desire to cross the difficulties which is mentioned means difficulties which come while ruling the kingdom. No, that difficulties.
Yeah, yes.
Because like
That
king.
the one difficulty is continue to be as a king. That's what I said, na? You become king, and after 2 3 days, you say that okay, I'm not qualified to rule, and I'm not interested in ruling, and such kind of things. Don't make such kind of excuses.
No, so in that which what is termed as a difficulty.
The ruling itself is a difficulty because
Okay,
internally he
ruling
has
the
no interest.
kingdom
Na
itself.
rule with
Okay.
attention like that. Mm.
Okay, I thought while ruling the kingdom, whatever difficulties came, like the kings try to surpass that with some yajna or something like that. Na? That is why it is said that do not to cross these difficulties by pious acts or taking shelter of own strength.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
So there could be many other things, but they are not so important because he's not ordinary person. He was living that long matlab is very powerful. Dealing with the difficulties is very easy. But the main thing that the one difficulty that you yourself might induce a difficulty that I am not qualified to rule over the kingdom, I am not this, I am that, I am not interested, I am going back to forest. Not like that. This one thing you should stop. So like that.
To sustain him in the ruling process, that is why.
Yes, yes. Further, Brahmaji continues. भवाय नाशाय च कर्म कर्तुं शोकाय मोहाय सदा भयाय सुखाय दुःखाय च देहयोगम् अव्यक्तदिष्टं जनताङ्गदत्ते.
My dear Priyavrata, by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities accept different types of bodies for birth and death, activity, lamentation, illusion, fear of future dangers, and happiness and distress.
One more philosophical point Lord Brahma says here. O Priyavrata, all living entities always attain bodies as directed by the Lord. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. To perform various activities for repeated birth and death, and for lamentation, illusion, fear, happiness, and distress. Basically, we get a body to perform various activities with an intention to get happiness. But along with the happiness, we also get so many other results. A list of all those things are given. But ultimately, the source of all these experiences is the body. But the body is given by the Supreme Lord. So, in that way. So all jivas always attain bodies as directed by the Lord to perform activities for repeated birth and death, and for lamentation, illusion, fear, happiness, and distress. So in one sense, if Priyavrata says that no, I want to remain the forest and in a detached mode, vairagya. So Lord Brahma says that no, Baba, this body is given by Lord. And Lord wants to use this body to rule the kingdom. How can you say no to him? And this body is meant to experience all these emotions which cannot be possible in the forest. So you cannot deny them. Something like that. One should not lament about this, because all embodied souls dependent on the Lord tolerate all auspicious and inauspicious conditions by their own desire or others' desire. So even in Bhagavad Gita also, when Arjuna is saying that how can I kill my grandparents, how can I see their death, for which Lord Krishna says, Matra Spashasu Kanteya Shitoshna Sukadukaya Agama Paino Nityas Tam Titikshasva Bharata. You should become Dhira and tolerate the dualities. You should tolerate the death of your worshipable people. So that is the quality of a Dhira. So don't lament like a Krupana. So like that, there Lord Krishna also indicated. Same thing here, Lord Brahma is also telling that, okay, my going home and ruling over the kingdom is filled with lot of lamentation, illusion, fear, happiness, distress, birth, death. I have to deal with birth and death of different people, all these things. I just want to stay away from all these things, just simply stay in the forest and recluse, alone, myself and my guru, nothing else. So says that, just the way you got the body, similarly, the people, everyone has got the body. So everyone has been designated along with the body some respective duties. One should execute all those duties. We don't have any authority to say no to Lord's instructions in executing all the duties, something like that. All jivas always accept a body which is elements, which is given by the Lord for performing various activities, not only in this one lifetime, in order to go through repeated cycle of birth and death. We perform some activities in this life, some other activities in some other life, some other activities in some other life, like that, like that, like that. All those things will be happening life after life. People accept bodies earned by their actions only by the order of the Lord. Just as the citizens accept certain results, such as agricultural land or prison, according to their actions only by the order of the king. It is only by the order of the Lord all of us are able to perform whatever we are performing, whatever activities we are performing. So he gives an example that, so whatever activities we perform, accordingly we get the results. When the farmer performing farming and paying some tax to the king, and he can enjoy the remaining yield. When a person performs a criminal activity, by the order of the king, the person will be going through respective punishment. So everything is happening by the order of the king in the local level. Universal level, everything is happening by the order of the Supreme Lord. The king alone can do otherwise. Therefore, because of him, you should obey. So it's like that. Other than the Supreme Lord or other than the king, everyone supposed to follow him. We cannot disobey. Only a king can disobey, or the Supreme Lord can disobey, but no one else. So something like that. So this is the third instruction. So my dear son, not only we few, but everyone is following Lord's order, as well as all of us are given with a particular body to perform particular set of activities, and we cannot say no. Whatever activities you are supposed to perform with respect to this body according to time, place, circumstances. No, I don't want to do all the other activities. I only want to do one activity. We cannot be stubborn like that. So it's like that. Hare Krishna, all of you are following?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Other
Yes, Prabhu.
devotees? So Brahmaji continues. Yadva chitantyam gunakarmadamabhi sudustarairvastavayam suyojita sarve vahamo balimishvaraya prota nasiva dipade chatushpada.
My dear boy, all of us are bound by the Vedic injunctions to the divisions of Varnashram according to our qualities and work. These divisions are difficult to avoid because they are scientifically arranged. We must therefore carry out our duties of Varnashram Dharma like bulls obliged to move according to the direction of a driver pulling on ropes knotted to their noses.
O child, O Vasta, all of us must obey the orders of the Lord, by whose words we are bound tightly. Here, Lord's words means the Vedic literatures. What we are doing, why we are supposed to do, all these things are indicated by our Vedic literatures. That's what Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, no? Which chapter? 16th chapter, last 2 verses. Yes, Shastra Vidhi Musruja Vardate Kamakaratan Siddhim Apnuti Nasukam na Param Gatim. Tasmas Shastra Pramanamte Karya Vyavasito. Therefore, make Shastra to be Pramana, which has which had the prescriptions about what to do, what not to do. Karya, Akarya, what is supposed to be done, what is not supposed to be done. Vyavasito. Jnatva Shastra Vidanoktam, having understood the Vidhi and Nisheda of the Shastras, Karma Kartum Iha Arahasi. Whoever is born in this world is expected to perform karma according to the injunctions of Vedic literature, having understood it. So, same thing. So, all of us must obey the orders of the Lord, by whose words we are bound tightly to actions and designations arising from the guna. So, here two things. From three modes of material nature, we attain two things, two identities. One is designation, other one is action. We get the designations such as male, female, child, adult, youth, old, and especially the four varnas and four ashramas. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanapastra, and Sannyasi. These are the 8 identities that we have, 8 designations. And every identity indicates a specific set of activities. Sannyasi has the different activities, Vanaprastha has the different activities, Brahmachari, Grahastha different activities, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, all of them have different activities. The designations and activities are given to us according to 3 gunas, which are as per the words of the Vedic literature, which are given by the Supreme Lord. Just as oxen bound by the nose must carry burdens, just as a bull or oxen is controlled by the rope which is passing through the nostril of the oxen or bull. Similarly, all of us are tied to our nose by the instructions of the Vedas, which give us particular designation and corresponding activities. We cannot go here and there. What was that verse from 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Swadharmam Nidanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha. What was the full verse? Anyone remembers? So one should actually practice one's own varnashrama duties instead of trying to practice somebody else's duties. Even though there may be so many faults in executing one's duties, but that is good. Swadharmam Nidanam Shreya. Swadharma leads to perfection. Paradharma Bhayavaha. Paradharma, doing the duties of other varnas and ashramas, even though expertly, that eventually lead to bondage only. Bhayavaha. It's like that. Just as the jivas are dependent on the Lord for accepting bodies, they are also dependent on the Lord for doing various activities. My dear child, we are all bound firmly to actions according to the gunas and to designations such as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra by the ropes of injunctions of the Lord through Vedic literatures. To that Lord we offer tribute by executing all our activities. We perform actions as He orders. Offering tribute to Lord means executing all the activities. Yajnaya charata karma. Yajnartat karmanu annitra lokayam karma bandhana. So something like that. We perform all the activities since they are prescribed by the Supreme Lord as an offering to Supreme Lord. That's how we pay tribute to the Supreme Lord. The example is, we are all like oxen who, bound by their nose in carrying the loads given by humans and moving about without independence, receive punishment. Dvipade Chatushpada. Just like the two-legged human being controls the four-legged animal to carry a lot of weight. Prota nasiva, with the rope passing through the nostril. Similarly, we are also having that prota, nasika prota, in the form of designations and associated activities. Guna karma dhamabi. So it is like that. Dharma means designations, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha. And karma is accordingly the various activities. So, my dear son, since you have been born in the family of Kshatriya, you have been given training as a Kshatriya boy. So, you also have to perform some Kshatriya duties also. You cannot say that I want to continue as a Brahmachari or Sannyasi in the forest, living in the forest. But you have been given certain identities because this body is given to you, and that body has been given some identity. You are endowed with certain qualities and according to three modes, and you have been designated as a Kshatriya and also so and so. So you need to do some duties also. So dharmam nidharmam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. So like that. Brahmaji further continues. ईशाभिसृष्टं हि अवरुन्महेङ्गा दुःखं सुखं वा गुणकर्मसङ्गात् आस्ताय तत्तद्यदयुङ्क्तनाथश्चक्षुष्मतान्दा तान्दा इव नीयमाना.
Uh, My dear Priyavrata, according to our association with different modes of material nature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives us our specific bodies and the happiness and distress we achieve. One must therefore remain situated as he is and be conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as a blind man is led by a person who has eyes with which to see.
So one may question that. Okay. You may say all these things, but I don't want to follow the Vedas. I don't want to follow the Vedic injunctions. You may say that Swadharma, but I like to practice this. Let me practice this. What is the problem? One may say like that. For which Brahmaji is saying, O Priyavrata, accepting with faith whatever the master gives us, like blind men led by a man with sight, we must accept the happiness and distress given by the Lord, since it arises from our actions in the gunas. So, since we don't understand what Lord is doing, why he is doing, we should accept, we should have faith on him. Like we treat ourselves like a blind man, and Lord like a man with eyes, and is guiding us how to go, where to go, etc. He will certainly take us to the right destination. Don't doubt him. So, like that is saying, we are dependent even in enjoying the results of our karma. We receive happiness and distress as given by the Lord. It arises from our attachment to actions connected to the gunas. Whatever the master gives as good or bad results, only according to our good and bad qualities, we should accept them. Whatever comes in our life is all because of our prarabdha karmas. We cannot blame. So, because since you are requested to become the king, you cannot blame Swayambhu Manu or Lord Brahma or the Supreme Lord. It is destined. It is as per your prarabdha karma, you are supposed to be the king. You don't blame here and there. So, like that. It arises from our attachment to actions connected to the gunas. Whatever the master gives as good or bad results, only according to our good and bad qualities, we should accept it. We should accept this with faith, not with grudging, but with faith we should accept it. One should see this as a good quality in the Lord. So Lord is actually Lord's good quality that by engaging us in a particular service is taking us back to God quickly. That is Lord's mercy upon us. How? How can you say that? One example is given. Will the blind man scold the man with vision who, while leading him on the path, takes him on the path full of burning sun instead of on the shady path, because the man with eyes sees thorns on the shady path. The man with sight is a well-wisher of the blind man. The person with faith will praise the Lord. So it's like that. When two people are walking, there is a shady path and a sunny path. The sunny path is very hard, but the man with eyes takes the blind man on the sunny path only. He may be feeling so much hard, so much hard, so much sad, he says. But the blind man cannot see that in the shady path there are a lot of thorns. It is better to tolerate the temperature than pinprick of the thorns. That will be too much painful. He will not be able to walk further. So that's why the man with eyes, he may take with a apparently suffering path, but he will reach destiny on time. But going in a shady path, one is put to lot of troubles. So that's how we should have faith on the Supreme Lord. Even though he may be taking us on the path, having a lot of suffering, apparently seems to be, but we will reach destination quickly. That faith should be there. So like that. So this is how Lord Brahma is logically trying to inspire and convince Priyavrata Maharaj to come home and become the king, indicating him that it is all Lord's order. It is all set by the system given in the Vedic literatures. So we cannot go against it. So like that. Hare Krishna, devotee is able to follow?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, there was one confusion, I think 2-3 verses back, that it was mentioned that while coming in contact with the modes of material nature, we acquire particular designations in this world. So, in fuel, like in the fourth canto, we had discussed, and you had mentioned that in spiritual world also there are couples and there are man and woman like that. So, means there also particular designations are there, no? So, at that designations are at what level? And here, if we are considering I'm man or I'm woman or whatever, these are definitely due to the modes of nature. But then there also.
There all the designations are secondary. There the prime focus is all about serving the Lord. There the designations are not given so importance. But here the designations are seen as most important things. Chaturvarna Maya system Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Here whatever we perform is all based on our designations. There the designations may be there, but everyone is doing same thing only, worshipping the Supreme Lord. Or designation se kuch matlab nahi udhar. They are there just like that. Namesake they are there. But here whatever we do is everything is as per designation only. You are called as a doctor. You perform doctor's duty only. You can't perform some other duties. Aapka designation and duties are fixed.
Right.
So it's like that.
So maybe in spiritual world, because to create the means vividhata, they say, and increase the rasa and mellow more, that is why particular designations have been awarded.
No, that we don't know. Why and how they are there, we don't know. Even if they are there, they are only superficial. The main thing is all serving the Lord there. But here, the designations take precedence.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
So then our Priyavrata Maharaj says, but whatever you say, it applies to action of an ignorant person, not to a jnani. You are telling that we are all blind people? No, but I am not blind. I am well versed in Shastra. I know what to do, what not to do. I understood. I mean, what I am doing is the best thing. Not to a jnani who knows Atma, who is above the knots of karma. Even in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Atma Truttir, there is no activity for a person who experiences joy with the Atma only. Basically, one who transcends the three modes of material nature, who is experiencing joy with the Atma self, he has nothing to do. So, Nirashirno Utva Sashanti Madhigachati. So, he has nothing to identify with the small material world. Atma Rama has nothing to do. I'm such Atma Rama. Why should I do all these activities, or worldly activities? So please don't call me. You tell somebody who's interested in worldly activities, call that person, not me. Like that, Priyavrata might ask. So anticipating that question, now Brahma is speaking. Mukto pitava bibriya swadeham आरब्धमश्नम् अभिमानशून्या यतानुभूतं प्रतियात निद्रा किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान्न वृङ्क्ते.
Even if one is liberated, he nevertheless accepts the body he has received according to his past karma. Without misconceptions, however, he regards his enjoyment and suffering due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he has had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of the three modes of material nature.
So here Brahma says that even for Atma Rama also, as long as Prarabdha karmas are there, one should continue activities as they are designated by the Vedic literatures. So like that. As long as the Prarabdha karmas remain, even the liberated person, Mukta Api, maintains his body obtained by karma and enjoys without false identity. Just as a person who awakens from a dream remembers what he experienced in the dream without false identity. In the dream, we may be something, something, something. After we get up from the dream, we do remember what kind of dream we go through, but we don't remain with the same identity. In the dream, we may be king, but after coming out of the dream, we may talk about the dream, but we don't feel that we are the king. Same way, it is like that. But he does not accept the gunas, actions, and desires for attaining another body. So it's like that. So go home, take up the responsibility of the king, and do all the kingly activities like the dream activities. Do not identify with those kingly activities. Do not identify yourself as a king. Instead, just do the duties as the dream activities. As soon as you come out of the dream, you may talk about those activities, but they don't have any relationship with you. Something like that. So, and having become king, don't develop a desire to get a new body like another king and continue as a king like that. Don't become attached to kingly position and kingly happiness. Instead, perform all the kingly activities like a dream activities. So, when he said that I am a jnani, I know everything what's happening, this entire world activity is all like illusion. Okay, no, Baba, it's all illusion only. It's all dream activities only. I am telling you to enter into the dream only and perform the dream activities. No problem. Do for some time. So like that Brahma is saying. As long as part of the karmas continue, the liberated person maintains his body. Just as a person remembers what he experienced in a dream without false identity when he wakes up. But because of desires for enjoyment, he must take another birth. But while engaging kingly activities, if you develop a new desire, in order to fulfill that desire, you need to take another birth. But don't make that mistake. With full renunciation, you please continue. You please come home and rule over the kingdom. So like that. But he does not accept the gunas, actions, or desires for attaining another body. With complete detachment, please rule the kingdom. So like that, Lord Brahma is inspiring our Priyavrata Maharaj. Then he continues, though I am dependent on the Lord, if I leave my present position in the forest and take up household life, it will be harmful to me. Like that, Priyavrata Maharaj might say. So it may cause harm to me. Okay, no problem. As you requested, I'll come and do it. But it may end up creating harm to me. Then Brahma replies, no problem. Lord will take care of that. Bhayam pramattasya vaneshvapi syat yata sa aste sahasas sapatna jitendriyasyaatmarater grahashrama kim nukarote vadhyam. Read the translation.
Even if he goes from forest to forest, one who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage, because he is living with six co-wives, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Even householder life, however cannot harm a self-satisfied, learned man who has conquered his senses.
So he gives a comparison. So you may think that you can lead life nicely in the forest. Coming to city and becoming householder becomes problematic. It is not like that. Problem can be there anywhere. The reason is the attached person must have fear of samsara even in the forest because he has six senses as his enemies continually with him. What danger is there for the householder who sees no difference between the forest and the house, who has controlled his senses and who is Atma Rama? An attached renunciant is in trouble, but a detached householder is free. That is what is Brahma indicating. Bhayam means samsara. The six enemies are the six senses who are one's enemies. For one who has intelligence, who sees there is no difference between the house and the forest, for one who is Atma Rama, for one who has controlled the senses, what faults such as attachment are there? He has no fear to worry. He can lead his life happily and attain perfection easily. Like that, Brahmaji is saying. See, these are various ways he is trying to inspire and motivate him to take up the responsibility of the kingdom. My dear son, don't worry. Whatever renunciation, detachment you have, please continue with that and rule the kingdom as a dream activity. So don't be attached to that. Don't be fearful of those activities. Don't worry. You are already self-controlled. Continue as a self-controlled and rule over. It will save you. So like that is inspiring him. So the next verse, Lord Brahma. Yes, Mataji.
Roji, this the whole explanation to Priyavrata Maharaj by Brahmaji. At our level, how do we take this? Because what I feel is that many times we hear the example of the ocean, like if you fall into ocean, you tend to get wet. Just like how if you get into material activities, you tend to fall for the faults or whatever. Now, not a liberated person will not accept the gunas. I'm not understanding that because when you are in this world, you are like we have heard from Ant to Brahma, everybody is influenced by the gunas.
See,
So,
actually, unfortunately, our condition is different and Priyavrata's condition is different.
hmm,
Priyavrata is already Atma Rama and is requested to come down, even though, apparently, there is a tendency of this material world to inspire or tempt one to become attached to material enjoyment. But
hmm.
Brahma is telling that don't worry, you are already renounced, continue with the renunciation and do the activities as a dream activity. So there will be no problem. That is for him. But for us, we are on the opposite side. In the
Hmm.
pendulum, Priyavrata Maharaj is on the right hand side and we are on the left hand side. We are supposed to come to the middle point by working hard, by controlling our desires, controlling our senses. We need to work hard to come to the middle point. And Priyavrata is already self-controlled. For him, Lord Brahma is bringing him to middle point so that the entire world can be benefited by his presence. So it's like that. We cannot compare with Priyavrata Maharaj ourselves. But whatever Brahmaji is telling to Priyavrata Maharaj, that is also an instruction for us. Even for us also, while performing our worldly duties, we should not be attached to the results of the worldly duties. Instead, perform all the worldly duties as the dream activity.
Yeah, we have heard this time and again. My question is that there are situations which are not uh, initiated by you. I mean, you don't deliberately do something, but there are situations where by default you're forced to act. I feel then that is also building up the chain of karma. So in this world, I
But
mean,
what makes us to force to act? What is the ultimately what is the controlling governing factor to do that activity, to perform that activity?
I may feel circumstances, situations, not just our.
Wait. Apparently, we may think that somebody else is. It appears to be somebody else is forcing, but nothing comes by force. Everything is happening by our prarabdha karma only. We desire to do so sometime in the past, so that is happening now. And
So
now
if
it is appearing as if it is done out of disinterest or out of force or because of some circumstances like that.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm just talking about the negative aspects also. I'm not
No,
just saying.
whatever negative or positive, in one sense, we have to take the responsibility of what is happening to us. Remotely, our aprarabdha or prarabdha is the actual cause of what is happening to us and what we are doing us. Immediately we may see somebody else is the instigator, but we ourselves are the instigator of all our activities.
Yeah, but sometimes to deal with the situation, we do take some steps. We do the needful, which I feel can bind another, us in karma chain. That's what I feel.
So
So I don't know.
it's all person to person, Mataji. When we don't have something black and white rule for anything and everything.
Mm,
So even though we are hearing Bhagavatam, we understand philosophy, but it is very difficult to do everything practically in our day to day.
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
we need to do the needful. Sometimes we may go to the right extreme or left extreme. So we are still under progress only. Now it will take time to deal with the
Mm,
things. Yeah, we need to learn hard way.
mm.
So like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you.
Direction. Okay, I think we'll continue these verses. Two more verses are there by Brahma. I thought we'll do and take the break, but we'll take the break now for 5 minutes. Then we'll continue with the remaining verses. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, devotees are there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we'll
Hare
continue with
Krishna, Prabhu.
the Hare Krishna. We'll continue with the next verse. Now, Lord Brahma says, Yes, sapatnan vijigīshamano gruheshu nirvishyayate purvam atteti durga shrita urjitarin kshineshu kamam vichared vipaschet.
One who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and five sense organs is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. After one has been trained in household life and his lusty desires have decreased, he can move anywhere without danger.
Yeah, here it says that he who desiring to conquer the senses first enters household life and attempts to control them, having taken shelter of the fort, conquer the strong enemies, and can move about as he desires with weakened or controlled senses. So here Brahmaji gives an example. So you want to control your mind and senses? So no problem. I'll give you a better place to control the mind and senses. Controlling the mind and senses in the forest is not a glorified activity, but those who can control the mind and senses in the household order, they are glorified of the greatest extent. So like that, Lord Brahma is speaking in this verse. There are three types of people in this world. Those without sense control, they are not interested in sense control only. Those with sense control, those who already control their senses, and those who desire to control the senses. There is no fault if the first two types enter household life. Those who without sense control, anyway they will enter. Those with sense control, even though if they enter, there is no issue. Both of them are not a big deal. So अपना अपना जीवन जिएंगे. But the most important thing are, and there is praise for the person in household life who desire to conquer the senses. Those who enter into household order and then want to control the senses, they are actually glorified. Desiring to conquer the senses, after first situating himself in household life, one should endeavor to control them by restricting them. Because an intelligent person taking shelter of a fort, that is household order, can conquer strong enemies. He can act in household life or elsewhere as he likes when the enemy has been minimized. He can assail the depleted enemy. If you have a desire to control the senses, then enter household order and control. And with controlled senses, you can do all the household activities without any difficulty. So like that, Lord Brahma is inspiring Priyavrata. If Priyavrata says that no, I want to control my senses, I want to keep my senses under control. This is not the a place, worthy place of controlling the senses. That is the worthy place of control. वहाँ पे control करके दिखाओ. So like that, Brahma is telling his grandson Priyavrata. So finally, he kind of concludes his discussion in this verse. Tam tabjana bangri saroja kosha Durga Shrito Nirjita Sastapatna Bhungshveha Bhogan Purushati Dishtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajaswa.
Lord Brahma continued, My dear Priyavrata, seek shelter inside the opening in the lotus of the feet of the Lord, whose navel is also like a lotus. Thus conquer the six sense organs, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Accept material enjoyment because the Lord extraordinarily has ordered you to do this. You will thus always be liberated from material association and be able to carry out Lord's order in your constitutional position.
Don't think that Lord is throwing you into a material ocean and you will be put into trouble, not like that. Please do the same thing, whatever you're doing now. Also, do the take care of the responsibility of the kingdom. The Lord who is telling you to do these things will take care of you. So like that, Lord Brahma is inspiring him. But you, having taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, with a lotus navel, Ajjanabha, Padmanabha, having transformed your senses from enemy to friend, having controlled senses, having made them as best friend, okay, you should enjoy the objects given by the Lord. The kingdom, the wife, and all the possessions, they are all actually given by the Lord. Since Lord himself telling you to come home and become the king, whatever you will have, everything is given by the Lord. And they will not bind you, don't worry. Later, giving up household life, you should worship the Supreme Lord as per your current desire. Currently, you want to worship the Supreme Lord with uninterrupted bhajan. The same thing you can do after ruling over the kingdom for some time, because that is the need of the hour. Rule over the kingdom. Even while ruling the kingdom is given to you by the Lord. The opulence is given to you by the Lord. The wife and children, everyone is given to you by the Lord. They will not be the cause of bondage. So don't worry about the troubles associated with in this material world. So like that. But you are not among these three types of persons. Though the world might be having all the three category of people, but you are not one among them. Tu indicates Tvam tu. You are not any of those people. And the fort you take shelter of is not like the material household. Your shelter is Lord's lotus feet. I am not telling you that you take shelter of the home and conquer your senses. Not like that. Your senses are already controlled. You already attained meditation on the Lord's lotus feet. Please continue with that. That meditation on the lotus feet will act as a fort and it will protect you from all the material dualities. Something like that. You are not like others who have controlled the senses because you have given up enmity with the senses which you have conquered. So unconquered senses are like enemies. The conquered senses are like the best friends. Your six senses are the best of friends since they are attached to the beauty of the Lord. All your senses are already attained complete attraction to Lord's lotus feet and Lord's lotus face. So they are best of your friend. They will never cause you bondage. Therefore, enjoy the objects given especially by your master, the Supreme Lord. Enjoyment arising from karma is a cause of bondage. But the enjoyment given by the Lord is not at all cause of bondage. Without any inhibition, go and rule the kingdom and live happily. Then later, hand over the kingdom to your son. Then go to the forest and remain there practicing Vanaprastha duties. Worship the Lord. And then go back to spiritual world and worship the Lord in person. Who is stopping you to do all these things? Just for some time, since there is no one, please go, become the king, get married, beget a son, and make him the king, and come back to the forest. Sometime, do it. This is the final request of Lord Brahma. So this is how, in these verses, our Brahmaji inspiring our Priyavrata Maharaj. So did he inspired? Is what mentioned in the next verses. Hare Krishna, okay, you are able to follow?
Yes.
So kindly read the translation for the next verse.
Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, after thus being fully instructed by Lord Brahma, who is the spiritual master of the three worlds, Priyavrata, his own position being inferior, offered obeisances, accepted the order, and carried it out with great respect.
Sukadeva Goswami said, thus being instructed, Priyavrata, lowering his head while thinking himself inferior in front of Lord Brahma, consented to the request made by his father and Lord Brahma, and with great respect, he carried out the order of the great devotee Brahma, Guru for the three worlds, three Bhuvana Guru. It's like that. So Priyavrata, though he had his own thinking and he thought that okay, it will be troublesome, this, that. But having heard from Lord Brahma, understanding that is Lord's desire, he put his head downward and then he said, okay, sir. Okay, my dear Brahmaji, whatever you say, I'll follow. So like that. Priyavrata considered himself inferior since he was the grandson of Lord Brahma. So it is like that. So next verse.
Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu, who respectfully satisfied him as well as he could. Priyavrata and Narada also looked upon Brahma with no tinges of resentment. Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request, Lord Brahma returned to his abode, Satyalok, which is indescribable by the endeavor of mundane mind or words.
Brahma departed after being worshipped suitably by Manu while remembering the Supreme Lord, who is the object of material, who is not the object of material words and mind, and who is beyond material dealings, as Priyavrata and Narada looked on without being disturbed. See, first time when Brahmaji came, Narada, Manu, and Priyavrata worshipped him. But now, specifically, it is mentioned that suitably worshipped by Manu, because now Manu is the happiest person. Because whatever desire of Manu was there, he came to his son requesting him to come home, which he could not do it himself. When Brahma did it, he became very much happy with this entire outcome, and he was so grateful to Lord Brahma. He again worshipped Lord Brahma. So accepting the worship of Swayambhu Manu, Lord Brahma returned, remembering the Supreme Lord. So what is the nature of Supreme Lord? Supreme Lord is not the object of material words and mind. He cannot be discussed or sorry, he cannot be discussed by
భగవంతుని పడుకోబెడుతున్నాను అక్కడ ఉంటుంది తీసుకుంటాను.
So the material words and material mind cannot describe the Supreme Lord. That is understanding. So the Lord is beyond the material dealings. So these are the different attributes of the Supreme Lord, which will be explained in the notes. So Mani worshipped Brahma suitably according to time and place. It is possible that Narada would have been a little disturbed since the desire of his disciple was destroyed, and Priyavrata would be disturbed since his vow was broken. So Narada, we may think that okay, Narada Muni is unhappy and Priyavrata is unhappy because they want to continue as what we can say as the mendicant in the forest. But here Swayambhu Manu and Brahmaji came and kind of took them in a different route. So they may be feeling unhappy like that, we may think, but it was not so. Everyone is happy. They did not see this as improper. Neither Priyavrata nor Narada Muni see this as improper. Brahma departed while remembering in his heart the form of Paramatma, Atmastam Avasthanam, who cannot be approached by material worlds or material mind, and who is the supreme abode, since he is the shelter of all other abodes. This is the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, who cannot be discussed by material words and who cannot be contemplated by material mind. So that is the transcendental nature of Supreme Lord. Only with the purified mind and senses one can understand the Supreme Lord. So that is the internal meaning. So unto that Lord, remembering that Lord, Lord Brahma was going back to Satyaloka, his own abode. Avak manasa kshayam. Avak a manasa. It means the Paramatma is the abode of the mind, which is beyond the words of the Vedas dealing with the three gunas and rules and regulations. So Paramatma can only be contemplated by that mind which has transcended in his thoughts in relation to three modes. That means, as long as the mind is thinking about various thoughts which are in three modes, that mind can never ever think about the Supreme Lord. Only when the mind transcends the three modes, that mind only can be able to meditate or think about the Super Soul or Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. So that is the understanding. The Lord is beyond our normal dealings, which are in the three modes. Or the meaning of this line is engaging Priyavrata, who was not previously engaged in ruling, who was devoid of material words and material activities, material thoughts, since he was Atma Rama. Brahma then went to Satyaloka, his own place. So other meaning of this verse could be that, okay, Priyavrata till now living in the Gurukul only. He never had an experience of worldly activities and worldly thought processes, worldly plan making, etc. Now Brahmaji engaged him in worldly activities, worldly dealings, worldly speaking, etc. etc. Then he went. That way also we can see. So different way of seeing it. So basically understanding is that our Brahmaji meditating on the Supreme Lord, who is situated beyond our material words and material dealings and material thoughts. So with a purified mind only we can be able to understand and think of the Supreme Lord. That is the internal meaning.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, you also mentioned that the mind which is entangled in the material modes cannot remember or cannot think of the Lord. So does it mean that whatever bhakti we are doing, because we are, means at least I'm talking about
No,
myself.
one second. Cannot think of the Lord means cannot think of the Lord continuously. 100%.
Okay, constant
So,
remembrance of the Lord.
constant remembrance. No, it is not that we are not remembering the Lord while chanting, while hearing Krishna Katha, we remember the Lord, but it will not continue continuously. It will be interrupted because of our attraction towards material activities.
Yeah, and that remembrance, but whenever we remember, that also is not in the very pure form, no, Prabhuji. Like,
Whatever. See, here the discussion is not about what was the condition of Priyavrata Maharaj in the first few verses. It was said, no? He attained complete perfection. The fifth verse it is mentioned, that fifth or sixth verse. Because he was under the shelter of Narada Muni, he attained complete perfection. He was able to meditate upon the Paramatma continuously.
yeah.
So with respect to that, we have to see this.
Okay. Thank you.
Next verse, somebody can read the translation.
Swayambhu Manu, the assistance of Lord Brahma, thus fulfilled his desires. With the permission of the great sage Narada, he delivered to his son the governmental responsibility for maintaining and protecting all the planets of the universe. He thus achieved relief from the most dangerous, poisonous ocean of material desires.
Yeah. After Brahma left, what happened? That is being indicated here. His desire accomplished by Lord Brahma, Swayambhu Manu, with the permission of Narada Muni, taking his son back to his kingdom, made him as the king for maintaining proper rules of conduct on the whole Bhumandala, and he himself became detached from the desire to enjoy the poisonous ocean of disturbing material affairs. So the reason is, if Priyavrata did not become the king, then the option left over is he himself supposed to be the king. Though he had already taken Vanaprastha order, he is performing tapasya in the forest. Now if Priyavrata does not take the kingdom, he himself has to take up the rule because there is no one to rule. But now, since his son accepted the rule, he became anxiety free. He became peaceful, so that he could able to do his sadhana in his Vanaprastha order peacefully on the Supreme Lord. So that is what is indicated here. Accomplishing his desire through Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu established his son for maintaining proper conduct on the Bhumandala, and Swayambhuva Manu became disinterested in desiring to enjoy the ocean of poison in the form of disturbing sense objects. And now, having made Priyavrata the king, he thought that, okay, my rest of the Manvantara will be taken care by Priyavrata Maharaj and his descendants. I don't have to worry. I can practice my Vanaprastha duties peacefully. So this is what Swayambhuva Manu felt in his heart. So it is like that. So then, after becoming king, what did the Priyavrata do? How did he rule? Thus, Priyavrata, the master of the Bhumandala, preoccupied with performance of karma by the desire of the Lord, burnt up all the impurities in his heart by realization, anubhavena, through constant meditation, anuvartata dhyana, on the lotus feet of the Lord, Bhagavata Adipurushasya Angri Yugala, on the two lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God, who is Adipurusha, who displays clear power to destroy the bondage of the whole universe. Though Priyavrata was completely pure, respect for him increased by his ruling the earth because he followed the order of the Brahma. Previously, he was the Atma Rama, not known to anybody in the forest because he was not a preacher. He was not going around and preaching. He was just simply meditating in the forest in a recluse. But since following the order of Lord Brahma, he came home back to the kingdom and he ruled very nicely, that he became popular. His fame spread all the four directions of the universe. Because even while ruling, he never gave up his meditation on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is his glory. This verse answers the question posed in the first verse. What was the question? How did Priyavrata enjoy household life? Itiha Vava means thus. How did he enjoy the household life? Thus, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, who had clear power to destroy the bondage of the entire world, Priyavrata ruled over the kingdom and enjoyed the household life. So it is like that. Priyavrata had burnt up all the impurities in the heart. Though he was most pure, he increased his respect by following the order of Brahma. Priyavrata already pure. There was nothing to purify. But apparently it is that he performed activities in such a way that he burnt away all whatever traces are there, traces of impurities are there, they're all burnt up, and his glory spread in all four directions. So like that. This is how Priyavrata Maharaj ruled over his kingdom. Then how did he continue his household life? His marriage, children and all, they are mentioned in the next couple of verses. Thereafter, while ruling over the kingdom, Maharaj Priyavrata, or thereafter means after becoming, after sitting on the throne, a king cannot be alone. He should be married. The king cannot be ruling over the kingdom as a brahmachari or sannyasi. He should be married and he should rule. So that should be the prerequisite. So he immediately married Bharishmati, the daughter of Prajapati named Vishwakarma. Through her, he begot 10 sons with abundant conduct, abundant qualities, abundant beauty, bravery, and magnanimity equal to himself, and also a daughter, who is the youngest of all the 10 sons, named Urjaswati. So he married the daughter of Vishwakarma. Her name is Bharishmati. Through her, he begot 10 sons who are endowed with all good qualities, good conduct, good qualities, beauty, bravery, and magnanimity, and also a beautiful daughter named Urjaswati. So it's like that. Since he is a great person, he also had great sons. 10 sons were born to his first wife, that is indicated here. And then of the 10 sons, their names are Agnidra, Idmajiva, Yajnabahu, Mahavira, Hiranyareta, Gritaprushta, Savana, Medatiti, Vitihotra, and Kavi. These are also the names of Agni, the fire gods. He has given the names of 10 Agnis to the 10 sons. It seems that he liked those names nicely. And of the 10, Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana lived in complete celibacy. All these 10 sent to Gurukul. Of the 10, 7 came back to become householders and kings, but 3 remained in the ashram to continue as an ascetic brahmacharis or something like that. Lived in complete celibacy, Urdhvaretasa. Thus, trained in brahmachari life, beginning from childhood. They were very conversant with the knowledge of Atma. Atma Vidyayam Krita Parichaya, and entered the Paramahamsa ashrama. So they continued as Naistika brahmacharis. Eventually they became sannyasis. So they remained in the forest only. They did not come home. So only 7 sons returned home, and they will be given kingdom to rule over the Bhumandala. The entire Bhumandala will be handed over to them eventually in due course of time. So like that. So how did they continue their life in the ashram, in that Paramahamsa ashram that is mentioned in the next verse? It is said that in the Paramahamsa ashrama, being free from perception of difference caused by covering of the body, these sons with peaceful disposition. So basically, being covered by this body, we see differences. We see someone as the human being, someone as the animal, someone as the bird, someone as the plant, someone as the beast, etc. All these external differences are all based on the external body only. Otherwise, all the Atmas are expansion of Paramatma only. Mamai Vamsho Jivaloka Jivabhuta Sanatana. Otherwise, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Kavyastine Sunicheva Swakecha Pandita Samdarshana. The Pandita, the person in knowledge, will only see the Atma, the spirit soul, which is a spark of the Supreme Soul. He does not see the external coverings. So it is like that. So they realized oneness of the self with the Lord. It is not the oneness the Brahmavadis talk about or Mayavadis talk about. It the oneness means they are seeing all the living entities as the spirit soul, not the material bodies. So in that way. Who is perceived within the heart? With the Lord who is perceived within the heart, purified by the power of Bhakti Yoga, fixed in remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord Vasudeva, the abode of all jivas, and the shelter of those afflicted with, and who is the soul of all living beings. Basically, having remained in the ashram, having become Paramahamsa sannyasis, they could see all the living entities as an expansion of the Supreme Lord, and they could also see the Supreme Lord everywhere. Yo pashyati mam sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. So they'll be able to see the Supreme Lord as Paramatma in each and every living entities by their matured Bhakti Yoga, and thus they are able to continue to remember the lotus of the Supreme Lord, and also what is the greatness of the Paramatma? Is the Paramatma who can free us from all the afflictions of the material world, with the super soul of all the living entities, who is the maintainer of all the living entities. These are the different attributes of the Supreme Lord, and that Lord is being remembered by these people and also pursued by these people everywhere. Andantarastha paramanucha antarasam. So yo pashyati mam sarvatra sarvancha mai pashyati. So that is the kind of state these people attain. They are only seeing Paramatma everywhere. Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that verse that Stavara Jangama Deki Na Deki Taramurti. These great devotees, when they see the inanimate objects or animate living entities, Na Deke Taramurti, don't see the external forms. What they see? Sarvatra Prasara Hoibe Ishta Devaspurti. They only see the Supreme Lord everywhere. Situated in the heart of each and every living entity. They don't see the body, they don't even see the living entity also Atma. They only see the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, situated everywhere. That is the state of the great devotees. So like that. In the Paramahamsa ashrama, being free from the perception of differences caused by the covering of the body, the 3 sons realized oneness of the self with the Lord who is perceived within the heart, purified by the power of Bhakti Yoga, which is fixed in the remembrance of Lord's lotus feet. Because their heart is fixed in Bhakti Yoga, by which they are able to remember the Supreme Lord, because they are able to see the Lord everywhere as Paramatma in the core of the heart of each and every living entity. and hence they are not able to see the Atmas and the bodies. So like that. So this is the realization they attained, that is the state of consciousness they attained, that is being indicated in this verse. And Priyavrata also married another wife. Her name is not given. And through her he had 3 sons, Uttama, Tamasa, Raivata, and they took charge of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Manvantaras. So till the 3rd, 4th, 5th Manvantara, they are still living in the forest performing austerities or tapasya, something like that. Then when the Manu started, they became Manu for that Manvantara period, and then their descendants rule over the entire Manvantara period. So this is how glorious are the descendants of our Priyavrata Maharaj. It's like that. He's not an ordinary person, and his children also not ordinary people. They became the Manus for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Manvantaras. The details of these Manvantara periods are mentioned in the 8th canto, 1st chapter 1923, 1st chapter 24 to 30, 5th chapter 1 to 6. So it's like that. Any questions till now?
No,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Please read this translation, text number 29.
After Kavi, Mahavira and Savana were completely trained in the Paramahansa stage of life. Maharaj Priyavat ruled the universe for 11 arbudas of years. Whenever he was determined to fix his arrow upon his bowstring with his 2 powerful arms, all opponents of the regulative principles of religious life would flee from his presence in fear of the unparalleled prowess he displayed in ruling the universe. He greatly loved his wife Barhishmati, and with the increase of days, their exchange of nuptial love also increased. By her feminine behavior, as she dressed herself, walked, got up, smiled, laughed, and glanced about, Queen Barhishmati increased his energy. Thus, although he was a great soul, he appeared lost in the feminine conduct of his wife. He behaved with her just like an ordinary man, but actually he was a great soul.
While these sons were engaged in the path of sense control in the ashram, in the forest, Priyavrata, with powerful mind, ruled the earth for 110 million years. Arbudani Ekadasha Parivastaranam, and conquered his enemies by the mere sound of his bow, drawn by the 2 arms, fixed with strength arising from constant prowess. Even though he seemed to have forgotten himself and to have lost his sense of discrimination, by the constant increasing joy expressed by his wife, by her actions, feminine qualities, her longing glances, restricted by her shyness and her attractive joking words. So many things are mentioned in this verse. So while the sons have gone to Gurukul and performing austerities and studying and all these things are happening, Priyavrata ruled for 11 Arbuda years. And all the enemy kings, all the other kings are simply controlled by the sound produced by the boat wang. So you don't have to fight also. Just once swinging the bow and all the other kings will surrender at his feet. So in that way. This is how we rule outside. But in his Antapura, he was completely controlled by, he seemed to have forgotten himself and completely apparently appeared to be controlled by his gentle wife, that is being indicated. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, an Arbuda is a period of 100 million years. And according to Srila Goswami, an Arbuda is a period of 10 million years. Thus, Priyavrata Maharaj ruled the earth for 110 million years. So actually, we have taken this number in this translation. We have taken this number. Though there are two different understanding, when Arbuda is equal to 100 million years or 10 million years. So we have taken 10. So he ruled for 11 Arbudas. So 11 times 10 million years. It becomes 110 million years, which is equal to approximately 25 Chaturyugas. Because one Chaturyuga is equal to 4.32 million years. 43 lakh 20,000 years. Multiplying it 25, we get around approximately little more than 100. So like that. About 35-36 Chaturyugas, he was living in the ashram before Swayambhu Manu came to request him to become king. And after become king, he ruled for 25 Chaturyugas. So in total, he lived for 61 Chaturyugas. His lifespan was about 61 Chaturyugas, 10 less than the full Manvantara period. That was the amount of time he lived. So that is Priyavrata Maharaj. Among his necessary qualities of power, enjoyment, and influence as a famous king, first his power is described. He conquered all possessors of Dharma, all opposers of Dharma, all the envious kings, adharmic kings, without even a fight. Just by the sound of his bow drawn by his two arms, full of strength arising from his continuous prowess. Next, his enjoyment is described. Of different things, his power, enjoyment, and influence. First, power is described. Just by twanging the bow, he defeated all the other kings. Next, his enjoyment will be described. And eventually, the influence of the famous king also will be described in the next verses. So, like that. His enjoyment is, it seemed that his sense of discrimination was destroyed by the ever-increasing joy of his wife, seeing him approach, by her rising up, changing her ornaments and going to other places, by her feminine qualities such as glancing, raising her nose and scratching the ear, indicating her service attitude, by her smiling glances restricted by her shyness, and by her attractive joking words. By all these things, he appeared that he has completely came under the control of his wife, something like that. By these things, he appeared to have lost his discrimination and forgotten his own self because of material attachment. This indicates that his conduct was difficult for ordinary people to understand, since his discrimination and intelligence actually remained intact. Internally, he was constantly meditating upon the Lord's lotus feet. But externally, he seems to be appeared as if he was completely under the control of his wife. It is not so. Since his wife was so, what we can say, loving and gentle, he simply reciprocated accordingly. So like that, we should take it. The reason is given. He had a great mind. He is a Mahatmana. He had an inconceivable mind because simultaneously he was attached and detached from the material affairs. That is the greatness of Priyavrata Maharaj. Externally, it may be looked like that. He is completely attached to come under control, but not so. He is not.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, here it is mentioned that Priyavrata ruled for around 25 Chaturyugas, and Uttanapad was there for 35 Chaturyugas. So remaining 10, 11 Chaturyugas, somebody else ruled for that Manvantara.
Yeah. His son Agnidra, Nabi, and all they will rule on remaining time.
Okay. Yeah, and I was feeling like in this comparison, if we see like when Lord had benedicted Dhruva Maharaj to, he will rule for 36,000 years. So that seems nothing in front of this. No, means that was a very short period of time for which you will rule and then you will go back to the planet which I have awarded you, like that.
Who?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Okay, but for Dhruva Maharaj, that is
He
mentioned.
was
He was told to rule for 100 celestial years, that 36,000 years.
Yeah, 36. So I was feeling that in comparison to 25 Chatur Yugas, 36,000 years is a very short period. But at that
Yes,
time
yes,
I was feeling that it is a so long period. But now in comparison to this, it seems very short. So it was Lord's arrangement that for short period of time you will rule and then you will go back to the planet where I am.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
It would be like that. Someone can reel. Okay. Any questions till now? All of you are able to follow? All others are not speaking anything. You're not even reading the translations also. You are there or not?
Yes, Prabhu, very much here. Just listening, focusing.
Krishna, Krishna.
Prabhuji, nobody is asking the obvious question about the age of Priyavrata Maharaj. Now, which yuga are we talking here? And I mean,
All the
the
yugas, 25 Chaturyugas plus 31 36 Chaturyugas. All the yugas. What,
all
which yuga? Not one yuga.
exact.
Before he became the king, he was there in the ashram for 36 Chaturyugas. And he ruled over the entire Bhumandala for 25 Chaturyugas.
So, sir, almost like when say one Manvantara periods is what, like 70
Ah,
Divya Yugas. That means 61, as you said, he lived 61 Chatur Yuga.
yes.
उनका एज में इतना मतलब बॉडी में कुछ डिफरेंस नहीं आया क्या?
But he is not ordinary person, na? That's what we have to understand.
But Prabhuji, like Satya Yuga, we hear always that in lifespan in Satya Yuga was around 1 lakh years. So this is much beyond that, no, Prabhuji. So
This is
because
what much, this is incomparable. This is incomparable. We can't even
yeah, that's
compare.
because he's a
Mm.
special personality. That is why his lifespan is like that, no?
Even in the upcoming chapters also, we see the many other people also ruled over for a long time. We get to see the numbers in the upcoming section also. So not only he, his descendants also ruled for long times. That also we see now.
But
Because
this is
in
definitely
yeah,
sorry,
but
inconceivable.
These are some exceptions. We cannot apply general rules on each and everyone. These people are some exceptions, so it's okay. We can accept. No issue.
Yeah.
because I was from another angle, I was feeling, Prabhuji, that for we are in a way fortunate that, but I don't know, but means this lifespan at least it is very short. So to stay in this material world, we have small lifespans. But for these people, they had to stay for such a long period of time on in this. Of course, they were doing the service for the Lord, and that is why they were here. So means it isn't it means no, not kind of a punishment, but for the service of the Lord, they were ready to do anything. It's staying on the in the material world for so long, that also they accepted for the service of the Lord, which also shows their
So
great.
Brahma, Brahmaji is there for the 100 years, but what to speak of that?
Yeah.
It's some people they are there as a service to Supreme Lord. It is not that.
Yeah, that shows their greatness, that for the service of the Lord they accept to stay so long in the material world. That is also their
Yes, yes,
great.
yes. In order to help us benefit from this world, they stay long time so that all of us get benefited in their presence.
Yeah.
Any other devotees have any other question?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll stop here because the next section it'll take some time. Even if we start, it will not be a good idea. We will not be able to do it properly. So we'll continue from verse number 30 onwards next week. So thank you for joining today's Bhakti Vaibhav class, Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5. So
Thank
we'll continue next week.